Islam, 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 rising to my highest height. Allah, Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, through Ali. Amen. I rise to my highest height again, giving perfect praise to Allah, extending honors to all the true and divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius, to the last prophet in these days and times, the honorable prophet, noble Ali, and extend further honors to the harbinger and forerunner of the prophet, the honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the leader and founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, who did indeed warn to stir up the nation. I want to give further honors to all the ancestors, known and unknown, to the Moorish Divine and National Movement, to the Moorish Holy Temple of Science of the World, Freedom Sunday Moorish Science Temple of America, to the National Grand Sheikh Jelani Bey, to all the members, citizens, staff, officials, guests, etc. Grand Sheikh Akeem, Islam, Islam, Islam. Um, Anybody got the reading?
I'm trying to find the letter to be read. I have the divine warning by the prophet.
Yeah, go ahead. You read that. We keeping it for me.
Hold on. Islam. Divine warning by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Prophet warns all Muslim governors ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequences. We are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose their confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and buttons, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet in the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways, by order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam.
Islam, thank you, man. So yeah, so like I was saying, right, like, you know, our like I said, our people need this information. And the main thing is being able to, teach it. Like the prophet said, in Voice of the Prophet, he said, if you have race pride and love your race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America and become part of this divine movement. Then you will have power to redeem your race because you know who you are and who your forefathers were. Right? Like that's the key. The key is knowing who we are and who our forefathers are. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why, understanding the Berber history, understanding I'm gonna get into some of what the prophet the breadcrumbs that the prophet left for us to really tie it back because you know just understanding that whole historical episode, what I'm saying, and being able to tie in like the sundry free Moors and Abdul Rahman and some of these other Muslims that was classified as Moorish or Moors during that time that was caught up in the slave trade, because they'll give you all these different historical books and you read this stuff in history class and go to the library, read all these books with these authors and stuff like that. But we talking about stuff that's part of the true record. right? Not the divine record. The divine record is the Bible, the Quran, but the true record is the laws that's on the books. When you look at the laws on the books, now we're talking about something totally different than something that you read from some author that wrote something that he read from another author and this other author, and that he learned in college about African studies. And they told you that everybody came from West Africa and there was a million people. But all right, well, where the evidence at? Where the evidence at? And if that's true, well, what about Europeans? Like, let's talk about how the whole of North Africa and the Middle East became light within the last 600 years. Because it wasn't like that prior to 600, as little as 600 years ago. People think that these Europeans been in North Africa and the Middle East for thousands of years. It's not true. They wasn't heavy in North Africa like that because it was unseemly because you have like classical historical writers that when they talk about hybrids or half breeds, that's how they describe them as hybrid. They describe like mixed people as in like a it's like horrifying because it was not heard of in antiquity because amongst the Arabs we was really heavy on maintaining our bloodline. Like the Bible is a science book on genealogy. We had a science to our genealogy. And when you start digging into, when you really start digging in, when we really start digging into the genealogy of Muhammad, he like, yo, it was they was marrying like they cousins and having children with their cousins, like literally first cousins and stuff like this. Like, yo, that's you like that's my aunt daughter, that's my aunt's son. Like, so we look at a lot of stuff as foreign, but it's connected to us. So so last time when it came to Muhammad, right, in the Moors, in our connection to Muhammad, we was talking about Ali and Fatima and the two children that they had. Um, one was Hassan and the other was Hussein. So we went through the genealogy of Hussein, and we seen how with Hussein, most of the descendants from that line, they was all born in Medina, right? The last call we was on, I showed y'all where Medina is, right? Y'all remember where Medina is? Well, the name of like the area.
It's right next to Akron here in Ohio. Okay, I'm joking. It's a Medina here, so it's law.
You crazy, bro. Yeah, nah. It's called the Hejaz, Hejaz, the Hejaz, or yeah, Hejaz. It's the Hejaz. The Hejaz is the western coast of Arabia that touches the Red Sea. That's again where that's the land of Canaan. Medina and Mecca are in the Hejaz. Remember, the prophet said, "We are the founders of the holy city of Mecca." All right, so the Hejaz is that area there where Mecca and Medina is. They also call it the Tahama, which is the deep from Genesis chapter 1, verse 2. So Moors, Canaanites, we descend from the abyss. That's crazy. Um, so again, they was all born in Medina, and they all had, well, most of them had Moroccan or Berber mothers, right? One of them, their moms was from India, from Sindh, But I even think the word Sind, Sind, it's connected to the word Indus, or it's connected to the word Indus in Hindu. So I think it means dark. So she probably too was a dark skinned woman. But all right, so that was Hussein. But we have the other child, Hassan. Now, Hassan had a son by the name of what was his son name? Oh, I think he had four sons. Let me see. Hassan ibn Ali. He also was the second Shia imam. So remember, the Shias got 12 imams. That number 12 is significant too. There's a part of it where they leave off the 13th or something like that. It's like 13 tribes for real. So I'm gonna dig into that whole thing too at some point. But because again, like they like to focus on the males, but like Abraham, Moses, like they had daughters too. You know what I'm saying? Um, let me see. Okay, children of Hassan.
It is Islam Grand Sheikh.
Yes, sir.
Uh, Hassan. What is that? What's his whole name?
Hassan ibn Ali. Hassan ibn
Okay.
Ali ibn Abi Abu Talib. Abi Talib.
Okay. Yeah, I was looking it up as you said it.
Yeah, yeah, you should. Well, you should. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause he had four
15.
children.
No. What I'm
Huh?
reading right now, it said uh reporting that Hassan had 15 sons and 9 daughters with six
Oh,
wives and three known concubines.
yeah,
concubines.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's probably more. That's probably more accurate. Yeah, that's accurate. That's probably more. Yeah, that's probably more accurate because That's how they was. They had a lot of wives. Like this is something like when we dig into the Berbers, like Guteli, the Asuriani, um, like the older Berber tribes, like they was described as like they have a lot of wives. Like, and they used to do things like when he had his first wife, he had to share his first wife with his tribe members. Like like when I say share her, I mean everybody got a piece of that.
Oh wow. And
Yeah, that
that's
was
your
like
wife?
that's the first wife, but they was known to have a lot of wives, and they never really valued really like it's not that they didn't value women, it's that they had a lot of women. Like it was just like it was part of their culture. Like and women were looked at as like value. They had, the more pretty or beautiful she was, the more value she might be, especially if you was a more wealthy, like a chieftain or something like that. You could, if you was trying to make a play on like consolidating your power or something like, so you wanted to make a play on somebody else's clan or something like that. So you run down on them. It's like, you say, look, you know, I'll give you my daughter. And, you do this contract and you say, da 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 da. So that's how they would do things. Like, and then the Arabs in Arabia had a tradition. I forget what it's called, but I was looking at this today and I kind of came across it where they would bury their daughters alive. One of the early companions of the Prophet Muhammad, this is one of the things that he spoke out against like heavily was like idol worship because the Arabs used to worship idols. They literally like say they go on a vacation, like you go on a vacation, you like go across town and your peoples. When you get to their crib, you make a little idol for yourself out of some wood, or you find a stone, You know what I'm saying? Normally they find a stone. You find a stone, you take it in your room and put it up. Like that's your little god for the time being. They did stuff like that. You know, the Kaaba was where they had pilgrimage every year. Before Islam even came along, the Kaaba was always there. But people would come to Mecca from all over, pretty much all over Arabia. And they would bring they little idols with them. So you had Christians there, you had a lot of people, Zoroastrians, you had all type of pagans, people that, and you had the god of Alat, you had you had a bunch of gods, like 360 something gods or something like that in the Kaaba. But it was a pilgrimage place, so they was making money, and you had wealthy tribes like certain clans in Mecca at the time that controlled it. They had hotels or places where people would, when the pilgrims would come in, they would stay. Like the Walid family. So I've talked about Khalid ibn Walid, the Saif Allah, the Sword of Allah. He was from the family that owned pretty much controlled the Kaaba. They control all the. His father was like the wealthiest merchant in Mecca. So Khalid, he grew up. He didn't have to worry about money. So his father sent him to learn about warfare. So that's all he thought about. That's all he did. And they say Khalid was very big and strong. Like, you know what I'm saying? So Khalid and then Umar, Umar ibn al-Khattab, who was Khalid's cousin. Khalid because his father was so wealthy. His father had a lot of children. He had probably like the most children in Mecca. So everybody was related to that family through Lubaba. Her name was Lubaba, Lubaba, Lubaba ibn Harith, Haritha. I think her name was Lubaba ibn Harith. I think. And she was the aunt of Muhammad. She's very praised in Islam. Like she's the one that she was auntie of everybody in Mecca. She big auntie. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the people that was companions and early companions of Muhammad was his family members. Like I said, either through blood or through marriage. Um, so Hassan, or either I'm trying to think, is this um, so again, he was born in Medina. Um, there's a lot of information on him in particular. So again, he's praised as part of the Ahlul Bayt. So the Quran talks about that in Surah 42:23. I am of the family of the Prophet, from whom God has removed filth and whom he has purified, whose love he has made obligatory in his book when he said, whosoever performs a good act, we shall increase the good in performing a good act of love for us, the family of the Prophet. So that's the Ahlul Bayt. Again, Moors are part of the Ahlul Bayt. Um, what am I searched? So so even like with Ali, right? Like it was a whole big thing with him, like and his followers. Like a lot of them ended up turning on him. And the Prophet talks about the Kajarites. I'm gonna bring that up too because that's an important document um, that talks about another group of Moors that we also connected to. Um, And again, he was in Hassan was around during the time of one of the caliphs named Muawiyah, right? Muawiyah the first. Muawiyah was the son of Uthman. Uthman, you know, he kind of started practicing like what they call like nepotism. You know what I'm saying? And started putting people in place and position. So Hassan had a son named Hassan ibn Hassan, and he too was born in um oh no, he had a son named his son's name was Hussein ibn Ali, right? Yeah, Hussein ibn Ali. Um, he was born in 626 AD, and then he had a son named Hassan ibn Ali, um, who was born in Medina. His mother's name was Kaula bint Manzur of the Banu Fazara, Fazara. The name Manzur or Mansur is connected to the tribe of Manasseh in the Bible. Manasseh was one of the sons of Joseph, who got thrown in the well and was rescued by who? The Midianites. Um, he was also known as Hassan al Mutana. Um, okay, yeah, okay. Because these names is like it's hard to keep up with the names and stuff like that when it comes to like some of these people. Uh, hold on. All right, so so he had a son in 690 AD named Abdullah al Almad. It's spelled Mahd. He was born in 690 in Medina, and his mother was named Fatima bint al Hussein. She was the daughter of Hussein and the granddaughter of Ali. So he married his cousin, right? Well, or his second cousin. Then um this where it starts to get interesting, right? Because um let me pull this up on my phone now. Okay, my notes. So again, his name was Abdullah Al-Mahd, A-L hyphen M-A-H-D, right? And again, he was the grandson of both Hassan and Hussein, right? Um, he had a few children. One of the children he had though was named Idris. Remember that. Remember that name, right? So, um, Hassan line of the family is not connected to the caliph. I mean, the imams of the Shias, right? So, we as Moors, like, we not part of that whole. Well, I mean, we are still, but like directly, we not part of that whole demonstration over there, the Shia demonstration. Really, this why, like, I say, like, with us, it's like, you know, it's no real particular way to go as far as our expression of Islam. Like again, me, I I mix it up. Like I use prayers from Islam, Muhammad. I use prayers from Brother Justice. I use prayers from you know David. You know what I'm saying? Some prayers are in like Ezekiel and other books and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And then you should have your own form of prayer. Like as far as like when you pray, how you pray. You know, we all normally we did clean like some sort of cleansing or something like that, some ritual or something like that before we pray and stuff. But it's to each their own really. The requirement within Islam is to remember Allah. And you gotta understand too, like with us, I'll touch on this real quick. With our demonstration with how we do pray, there's a condition in chapter 4. I forget what verse it is. Let me see. But again, you know how we stand and pray, right? There's a provision in the Quran. Is it 443? 440. No, not that one. 4, 142, 43. I think that's it. Yeah, so Surah 4, Ayat 142, 143, 141 too. Think. Oh no, that's not it either. Like, I had it earlier too. But in the Quran, there's a provision like, if you either traveling or, you at war, you can shorten the prayer. You can stand, one group could pray first and the next group could pray, stuff like that. Because you got to understand, like during that time, Muhammad and them, they didn't break prayer for like, even at war. Like when they was at war, Muhammad would call prayer. He'd stand in the middle. One group would surround him in a circle. And they didn't like, so even when you at war, you don't even have to face the Kaaba either. There's no real direction you gotta pray. But he would stand in the middle, they would stand around him, they would do the first part of the prayer, that group would go fight, and you don't gotta lay your arms down either. You could pray with your arms too. The only provision with like you don't have to pray with your weapon is if it's raining and you outside, it's raining, and there's the likelihood that your weapon might get damaged, and you gotta like leave it somewhere else. But you could pray with your weapon on you. See, this is why I say, like, it's important for us to understand the history behind, especially Islam, because Islam, again, remember, we got the Hebrew connection, the Christian connection, we got the Muslim connection. So, but the Christian and the Hebrew degrees wasn't recorded as well as they was with the Muhammadan degree and the historical stuff that happened. So, understanding the history around how what the things Muhammad went through, you know, again, because it's well recorded, you start to pick up on some of these things and the reasons why Muhammad was doing certain stuff. This is why I said, like, religion is fluid. Like we not rigid about this thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? But you got to understand where that come from. Because if somebody that you don't know will challenge you on your unorthodox form of Islam or our unorthodox form of Islam, And you got to be able to be like, well, wait, because when they know, they're not even gonna act. They're not even gonna act like that. Well, y'all pray standing up. Well, Surah 4, ayat, da 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 da. We descendants of da 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 da. This our family line. This what we went through. This where we ended up. We still at war because our family was hunted down. Moors, the descendants, the Alu Bayt, the descendants of the Prophet Muhammad. We was hunted down on on multiple fronts. We was dealing with the Europeans at point in time, and we was dealing with our brothers, our family. Because don't get it twisted. Like these clans, when it was time to go at it, it was bloodshed. Like if you wasn't my brother, I wouldn't really care if you was on the other side, cousin or not. It was real. This is why the Arabs was able to take Persia, the Persian Empire, and the Roman Empire, and dang near the Chinese Empire at the same within a couple decades. And we talking about empires that was in place for thousands, 2,000 years total. That's that's unheard of. We descend from that. So, um, so again, Abdullah al Mad, um, again, his father was Hassan, um, and his mother was Fatima bint Hussein. Again, they both was grandchildren of Ali. Um, it says that Abdullah was the first child of the couple and was raised by his maternal uncle, Ali ibn Hussein Zain al Abidin, um, says who took charge of his education and instructed him theologically. According to narrations, Abdullah had a great temper, aspired to exert control over Banu Hashim, and challenged Umar II. According to Shia accounts, Abdullah came to claim the imamate for himself and issued fatwas contrary to the imams. So he was even challenging the Hussein side with the imamship. It says after the Abbasids took control of government, Abdullah's sons refused to recognize the new authority, sparking a crackdown on them and their followers. So again, they was the family didn't like the Sunnis, right? The Sunnis follow the tradition of Abu Bakr, Umar ibn al-Khattab, Uthman. They accept Ali, Muawiyah, then it's Muawiyah. And Uthman, Ali, and Muawiyah was all going at it at the same time. So the succession wasn't even like it was like all one thing, really. Like you could kind of consider them all the third or fourth or whatever caliph within that framework. But then after that, you got the Umayyad Caliphate. Muawiyah represented the first caliph of the Umayyad Caliphate. So if you following with me, look up the the Umayyad. That was one of the other clans in Mecca at that time. So it was the Banu Hashim, the what I just said. What's the clan I just said? The Banu Umayyah and the Banu whatever Khalid ibn Walid, they're his tribe. Those was the three main tribes in Mecca at that time. So you see how the caliphate in what Muhammad established was a after he transitioned or passed, it started to be a fight over who was going to control it, and it was a family feud. Really, it was these clans trying to vie for the caliphship in the different administrative positions within the empire. because again, it was talking about the trade routes, right? We didn't like these Arabs controlled trade routes, and now all of a sudden they was thrust upon the whole entire Persian and Roman Empire. We about to take this whole thing. Y'all think it wasn't about politics and trying to get to the seat of power? See, this is what they feared from the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, that he was going to be the leader of all the Moors over here. Negroes, blacks, colors, everybody would have been behind Drew Ali. You think Negroes that was around him wasn't like, whoa. That's why he said they thought it was a joke and unreal until they found out from the leaders. Like what he established is that deal. It has the potential to mirror what the Saudis have in Arabia here. Power. And we already have a treaty. We have access to a document that anybody on the planet wish they had. You know how many nations on the planet wish they had this treaty? But nobody believed in them Europeans when they came out from under Britain, because Britain wasn't really nobody at that time. See, again, when you don't understand the history behind this, you don't understand. We don't understand our position or our part in this overall play. Right. So, all right. So Abdullah Ahmad, he had a son named Idris. Idris ibn Abdullah, right? Or Idris the first, right? They say he's an Arab Hassanid Sharif. So the term Sharif, um, shot it. Hold on, because there's a way that it's used within the context of. So, say, all right. So Sharif or Shurfa is a title used to designate a person descended or claiming to be descended from the family of the Islamic prophet Muhammad. What's the prophet Noble Drew Ali's Islamic name, Lord?
Islam, you said his Islamic name.
Mm-hmm. They call him Sheikh what?
Sharif Abdul Ali. No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali. You know what I'm saying? So Abdul, I think Abdul means servant of. So Sharif means it's a title used to designate a person descended or claiming to be descended from the family of Muhammad. See how again, the prophet was giving us, he left the details there, the jewels there. You can't, in the wider Muslim community, you cannot have that title if you are not part of the Ahlul Bayt. You think they don't know that? They know we don't know that. That's why with Moors, it's just deeper than knowing you a Moorish American, because that don't really mean much. Like if you don't know your history, your lineage. This is why Moors are so confused as to what demonstration they should be doing, and why you got these Moors doing all these funky, weird demonstrations. It's cool, but you got to know your found. You got to have a found. You got to have an anchor or something. You got to be grounded somewhere. And you can't. Like it's good to have the Islamic history to under your belt, at least rudimentary. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it says, in the broadest sense, Sharif refers to any descendant of Muhammad's great grandfather Hashim, or the Banu Hashim of the Quraysh, including all descendants of Muhammad's paternal uncles, Abu Talib and Al Abbas, which is the Abbasid dynasty. The Abbasids came after the Umayyad, right? The Umayyad was another clan in Mecca that got control of the caliphate, and then the Abbasids took it over, which was Muhammad's uncle's family line. So you see how it was different families and clans within the family that was vying for these positions. And then again, they pushed the Ahlul Bayt to the side. And they running things. It's crazy, Moors. Like, and then they try to get online and get on in a debate with us about who demonstrating what issue they got with Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I wish they, I wish I want, man, I'm telling you. This is why I say, we got to brush up on this stuff. It says more often it refers to a descendant. So in a broad sense, it kind of refers to the Hashemites. But it says more often it refers to a descendant of Ali, a son of Abu Talib and a paternal cousin of Muhammad. The Alids, Alids, the Alids. Especially, but not exclusively through Ali's marriage with Muhammad's daughter Fatima. Again, especially, but not exclusively. So we talking about the Fatimid line, because Muhammad had other children, but Muhammad did a ceremony with Fatima, Hassan, Hussein, and Khadijah, his first wife. He did a ceremony at, I forget what it was called, but when you study this, you're gonna come across it, where he took them under a tent or a blanket or something like that, and basically he was like proclaimed them as his Ahlul Bayt, like as his inner circle. So those descended from Fatima and Ali and Hassan are really the Sharifins. Like, we the only ones that got claim to that name. So it says, in the sense of descendants of Fatima and Ali, the most common one, the term effectively refers to descendants of Muhammad. It says in the narrow sense. So in even smaller sense, the word Sharif, right? So we shrinking this down. We going from the Hashemites to the Muhammad in general, right? Now we come into the most narrow sense of the term. It says in the narrowest sense, it refers only to someone who descends from Fatima and Ali's eldest son, Hassan, the Hassanids. In this limited context, it is contrasted with the term Sayyid, meaning Lord or Master, or the plural for Sada, which then refers only to the descendants of Hassan's younger brother Hussein, the Husainids, right? So you got the Hassanids and the Husainids. And in the narrow sense, it refers to those that's descended from the elder brother Hassan, which is, again, this is who we getting into right now. So again, you see why the prophet took the title Sharif, and we're gonna get into that term Sada or Sayyid or Sadi or Sadi, right? So Idris the First was the founder of the Idrisid dynasty in part of northern Morocco, in alliance with the Berber tribe of Al-Raba after fleeing the Hijaz as a result of the Battle of Fakr. Right? So Hassan, right? So it says Idris was the great-grandchild of Hassan, who was the son of Fatima and Ali and grandson of the Islamic prophet Muhammad. He was born and raised in Arabia, probably Medina. It says his paternal half-brothers And Ibrahim had been killed by the Abbasids during an abortive rebellion. So the Abbasids, again, the Abbasids is Muhammad's uncle. So, and when you read this story of the Ali and Hassan and Hussein, it get more, it get crazy. They were slaughtering us, like literally slaughtering us. Like, yo, it's wild. Like, you know what I'm saying? You hear what I'm saying, right? His half brothers had been killed by the Abbasids during the abortive rebellion. His brother Yahya rose in revolt, but was forced to surrender. He was persecuted by Caliph Harun al-Rashid afterward and repeatedly imprisoned. Idris himself had participated along with Yahya in another uprising in 786 under al-Hussein ibn Ali al-Abid. After the revolt of Fakhr, he escaped and remained in hiding before moving to Egypt. Assisted by the local head of the caliphal postal system, Wadi, he managed to leave Egypt and reach the Maghreb. So one of Hassan's grandsons ended up not getting killed in Mecca and Medina or in Arabia. So he fled to Egypt, same way all the prophets flee to Egypt, and went to the Maghreb because that's what we did. That was a route that we controlled. Arabians controlled that route. So we would always go into Abyssinia. So he went to Egypt and then fled to the Maghreb. It says where he arrived in Tangiers before going to Walili, a site in the Roman province of Volubilis. Right? Volubilis is like in Morocco. It's like northern Morocco, like almost near close to the Straits of Gibraltar.
Islam, Grand Sheik.
Yes, sir.
Did you say he fled to the Maghreb?
Yeah.
So
yes, sir.
Isn't Maghreb short for West or uh yeah, West? Or or
Maghreb. I'm not sure of the actual etymology of the word Maghreb.
Islam, I think it does, but well, it means west. But when they say
Yeah,
Maghrib,
it means the western. It means the western place or the land or the place where the sun sets.
okay.
Islam.
Mm-hmm. So he went to, and again, we have the tradition that the Maghreb al Aqsa is the furthest west, which is like um the Americas. But in those times, the Maghreb was just simply like North Africa. They considered the Maghreb all of Northern Africa at that time. So, what is Libya, Tunis, Algiers, and Morocco. So he fled into that area. And it says that the headquarters where he ended up was just outside the walls of a Roman town. And you got to understand, during this time, the Romans was in power. The Romans, again, you had the Persian Empire to the. So if you're looking at Arabia, Arabia will be in the middle. The Persians was to the right, and the Romans was to the left. Then to the north of them, you had the Vandals, the Germanic tribes. You know what I'm saying? And the Arabians, and then the Canaanites was to, the left of Arabia in Africa, occupying. But the Romans controlled the coastal areas of North Africa during that time. And, the Levant, the Byzantines, right? Because the Byzantine Empire is the Eastern Roman Empire that was in Istanbul, Turkey, right? Which is like a little peninsula, it's a strip of land that basically separates the Levant from Europe. And that was like the border where we kind of kept them out from time to time. So it says that the town was occupied by a Berber tribe called the Araba. It's spelled Awraba. Idris married one of these Berber women of the Araba tribe, and they had a son named Idris II. So this is where we tie into the Berber tribe. The Berber tribe that we tie into more is this Araba tribe. Islam. One of their kings' names was Kusaila, Kusaila. He was a 7th century Berber Christian ruler of the kingdom of Altava and a leader of the Al-Raba tribe, a Christianized sedentary Berber tribe of the Auris, Aures, and possibly king of the Sanhaja. Right, the Sanhajas was another Berber tribe that was confederate with the Zenata and the Masmudas. All right, so it says that with the Araba, right, they played a part in the role of the resistance to the Muslim conquest of the Maghreb in the 7th century, particularly during the rebellion led by King Kusaila. But it says after this event, having mostly converted to Islam, they were known for welcoming Idris I, an Alid refugee fleeing the Abbasids to the east, and helping him establish the Idrisid dynasty. So again, these Berbers are descendants of the ancient Numidians, right? Their leader was a man by the name called Massinissa, Massiniassa. He was the first king that unified the Numidians. So that's the Berber side. So Idris, he ended up conquering parts of northern Morocco, and he ended up founding the city of Fez in 789 AD. It says he captured a part of Algiers from somebody. It says the succession of events prompted vengeance from the Abbasid Caliph Harun al-Rashid, who sent emissaries to kill him. Idris died in 791 in Walila, allegedly poisoned by the Caliph's agents. So you see what was going on? So the Caliph had agents. Don't we talk about agents now? So he had agents that was probably posing as Berbers, or he might have paid somebody that got close to Idris within his, ranks or whatever. Sometimes it was militarily they did a lot of this stuff. Because we was known to hire, so they would get us, so like Idris, he messed with the local tribe. Of course, they hired somebody within the local tribe to get close to him and probably killed him. Then we started hiring guards outside from slaves. Then they eventually would start getting to the slaves, the bodyguards. And the bodyguards would be the ones that kill us, poison us, particularly poison. Sometimes we would get killed, like attacked as well. But for the most part, like after they would attack us and stuff in the open and stuff like that, they started um, poisoning us because it was frowned upon to kill us. Like the Muslim community, the Ahlul Bayt, like one of the caliphs in particular had one of us killed, and it like really damaged his whole thing. So they started poisoning us. You know, um, so it says his son Idris II was born a few months later and brought up by the Al-Raba under the regency of Rashid. His father, freedman, an advisor. So his father had a slave that was freed, and he was actually his advisor. And that's pretty much it about him. So Idris II, right? He was born in Walili, where his father died. and his mother's name was Kinza, right? His wife, oh, his mother, again, his mother's name was Kinza, and she was, again, the daughter of the Aruba tribe chieftain. So he was from not just Muslim or Islamic royalty or royal family or nobility. He was from Berber nobility. So again, this is why we call ourselves the nobles, right? He was raised among the Berber Arawa tribe of Volubilis. Right? It's a Roman city outside of Morocco or in Morocco. He was proclaimed imam in the mosque of Walila, succeeding his father. Of the Idrisid sultans, Idris II was one of the best educated. He uh, he ended up taking over an area that was between Algiers and Morocco, and yeah, that's pretty much it about him. But he had a son by the name of Muhammad ibn Idris, right? He was the third, what they call Idrisid Emir of Morocco, right? Um, he was obviously born in Morocco. They don't know when his birth was, like his date, and I ain't really find any information on who his mother was, but she probably was a Berber woman as well, because they was known for doing this. So, and what you'll find too is like a lot of the lineages is tied in through Canaanite women. Even even when you deal with the 12 tribes of Israel, a lot of the 12 tribes of Israel had Israel Canaanite mothers. And I also had a quick conversation with Dr. Um, Dana Reynolds, the author of the African and Arabian Origins of the Hebrew Bible. And she apparently is working on a new book about the Canaanites. So you know it's gonna be fire.
Islam.
Yeah, it's gonna be fire. And she let me know that when
Uh,
she does have the next class, she gonna, let me know what the link is. So, I of course let y'all Moors know. And,
Islam.
we can all get on the, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, that's what I'm saying. Brush up as much as y'all can, you know what I mean? Because, you know,
It's Islam or Sister National Grant. Did she have an article written in the book called The Golden Age and Ivan Sanger?
yes, sir. Yep. Yep. She talks about that in some of her YouTube videos, like that she's the, because like, or if you see her featured on YouTube, because she got a YouTube channel, she don't really talk about it on the YouTube, but like on some of the Moorish channels that she's featured on, she mentions that she wrote the forward in Ivan Van Sertima's book, The Golden Age of the Moors. So yes, that's what she's really most known for. Like that's the first big thing she did, like, or that she's known for is that, and then her work on what she's doing now. She also got another book called Fear of Blackness that's coming out too. And this is just more information about how these Afro Arabian peoples were described as black people. Of course, we don't agree with that term, but in historical context, that's the language they use. We know the science behind that term, but we're not gonna get hung up on that because she used the term a lot too. Like even when I'm talking to people myself, I use the term. Like it's not, I don't use it to describe myself or, like nothing like that. But like if I'm giving like a lecture on history, or I'm gonna be like, yo, they was described as black because that's the exact language that they use. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna contradict myself by not using the term and you know juxtaposing it to what more science say because that's a different degree. If you want the science behind that, then we could talk about that. But as far as like a regular conversation, like this is what people associate it with. We know that it's a social political thing, you know.
What's the sister name again? I thought I had it in my history, but I can't find her name.
Dana, Dana.
DNA. Okay, here it is. Reynolds, right?
Yeah, Marniche.
Marniche Reynolds. Yep. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, and the I'm telling you, the book African Arabian Origins, the Hebrew Bible is not on Amazon. I don't think it's on Amazon. I had to get it from the publisher. It's like a $275 book. So, but
Wow.
it's peer reviewed. It's in most of the major universities, in the University of Israel, one of the biggest like
And
collegiate.
where you said where you can order that book from?
Like if you type it in,
Mm-hmm.
it should take you to like a link where you can find it to get it from the publisher.
Type in her name or
Yeah, well, I would type in the book name. It's called The African and Arabian Origins of the Hebrew Bible.
okay.
Yeah, that's another thing I let her know too. I got you. I was like, I got your book. Like, and they talk about in the book too. How let me see if I can find it about the Moabites. I'll get this. 'Cause I ain't go over this because I had put my Moabite demonstration together before I got this book, but I came across some more information on the Moabites in her book that talks about. Here we go. It says, it says, so there's another book you might want to get to more. It's called Unexplored Syria. And she said, in Unexplored Syria, we read the Banu Humayda, which is spelled Banu. Banu Humayda is spelled Humaydah. It says, who appeared to look. This is what he said in the book. It says, the Banu Humayda, who appear to be the veritable descendants from the ancient Moabites and who deserve a special study, are the most savage and intractable tribe in Belka. It says in another piece named Report on the Geographical Exploration of the Country of Moab, says the Hamada, spelled Hamaydah. It says, have been spoken of as an independent tribe and the remains of the ancient Moabites. Page 230. It says Charles Dowdy mentions the Hamedi, Hameydy, as one of the two tribes breeding the best blood horses in Moab, and insisted that the Moabite stone was in the possession of the Hameda and Bani Hamidi or Hamiday, the tribes whose opposition caused the lamentable destruction of the celebrated monument of Mesha, or the Mesha stone, or the Moabite stone, in the essay "The Desert of Tea in the Country of Moab," written for the Palestinian Exploration Fund by Charles Dowdy, page 53. It says, as previously mentioned, this people are recorded as among the earliest of the Bedouin settlers of the modern Sinai. According to recent biological studies, they are genealogically allied to the alligate, Aleygat, or Aleigat, or the Halik, Haliq. It is the same Sinaitic Hamada or Hamada, Hamada, and the alligate that are also members of the modern Gowarna tribes in the Jordan Valley. It says, and are thus the people mentioned by colonialists as descendants of the Moabites. and dwellers of Moab. Now these people kind of look a little light now, but you know, before they moved up into that area of the Levant, where they call Moab now, these people was probably they was dark skinned. You know, it's not even a problem. But that's the name of the clan, Banu Humeda. Now the term Humeda is connected to um the Hamathites, right? So these again was part Canaanite Moabite. So so who was talking about? Muhammad ibn Idris, right? So again, so Muhammad ibn Idris, he was the oldest of the 12 sons of Idris ibn Idris, or Idris the second. So it says, acting on the advice of his grandmother, he divided the Idrisid realm among his older brothers, keeping only the capital Fez. His kept keeping the capital Fez for himself. This weakened his authority and immediately gave rise to civil war and the decline of the Idrisid dynasty. So he divided the kingdom up, right? He should have just kept it consolidated and administrated it from Fez as opposed to giving his brothers their own thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? But this again, this is what happens when you have a lot of sons and you have a system like this, you know, like a dynasty set up. Like that's what happens. Like it's always happened. You know what I'm saying? And um, you know, that's a historical thing that we need to always, you know, keep mindful of when we dealing with, you know, our own situations. Like, you know, look at what happened with the Prophet Noble Ali. It's the same thing. And the takeover with the Prophet started when he was already in the administration. He was still alive when they was trying to take it over. You know, went on vacation and they started going crazy. Claude Green and Kirkman. It says when the four brothers sought assistance first of Qasim, the ruler of Tangier, but was refused. They then turned to Umar, the ruler of the Rift Mountains, who defeated both of his brothers, receiving in return the governorship of Tangier. The descendants of Umar and Qasim would later rival for leadership of the Idrisid realm after Muhammad's line went extinct. Muhammad died in March or April 836 AD in Fez and was buried there. He was succeeded by his son Ali, who was only 9 years old at the time. So he had a son by the name of Ali ibn Muhammad ibn Idris, the fourth Idrisid Emir, right? Again, he was 9 when he took over. His father died, and it says that during his infancy, the chieftains of the Berber tribes acted as his regents. Right, he proved the able ruler who managed to stabilize and pacify the Idrisid realm after the troubled reign of his father. During his reign, Idrisid authority was strengthened and stretched from Basra to Tuga. It says some Idrisid troops reportedly also participated in the 846 sack of Rome by Aghlabid rebels. I don't really know who the Aghlabids were, but they say he died in Fez um, in 849, and then he was succeeded by his brother Yahya ibn Muhammad, right? And he was the youngest. He was the younger son of Muhammad ibn Idris, or his, he was the youngest one. And again, he took over Morocco after the death of his brother, who didn't have any. He didn't have no sons. So his brother didn't have no sons. So when he died, this brother took over, Yahya. It says, following the stabilization and consolidation of the Idrisid authority by his brother, Yahya's reign is commonly regarded, in the words of a historian, as the very picture of prosperous and tranquil rule. During this time, the Idrisid capital at Fez expanded greatly with the arrival of people from Al-Andalus and Ifriqiya. Right, Ifriqiya is it was a section. Ifriqiya is like the Arabic word for Africa, but it was just a certain section of North Africa that was considered Ifriqiya. So it says, thus the establishment of the two great mosques of Fez is traditionally ascribed to his reign. It says, despite the traditional view of the reign as peaceful, modern historians have remarked on the complete absence of coins minted in his name at Fez, whereas there exist coins in the name of a certain Abu Sal, possibly related to whoever this person was, whose family is known to have fought the Idrisids for control of Fez a few years after Yahya's death. And they say Yahya died in 863 and was succeeded by his son Yahya the second, or Yahya ibn Yahya. Um, so Yahya the second, they say he was a weak ruler though, that preferred the luxuries of palace life and as opposed to government. He parceled out the Idrisid realm to his relatives. His uncle Hussein received much land to the south of the capital, Fez. His great uncle Al Qasim received the western half of Fez itself, along with the eastern frontier provinces of the Berber tribes of Lawata and Katama. So those are other Berber tribes. And I think the Lawata and the Katama and them, these were the Berbers that were part of the Almohad and Al Moravids dynasties. These was the veiled Berbers, the noble Berbers, which they would say. It says, and another great uncle, Dawood ibn Idris, ruled the country of the Hawara Berbers, also increased his domains. And it says Hawara is spelled Hawwara. Luwata is Luwata, and the Kutama are Kutama. It says his reign in Fez appears to have been secure, as coins with his name are known, unlike his father. Nevertheless, Yahya's dissolute life soon led to scandal, which forced him to flee the palace into Andalusian quarter in Fez, where he died in unclear circumstances. A powerful citizen of Fez, Abdul Rahman ibn Abisal al-Juhami, tried to seize power, but Yahya's widow called upon her father, Ali ibn Umar, from the collateral Banu Umar branch of the Idrisids for aid. Ali gained control of Fez, but his power was challenged by the Kharajite rebels, and power eventually passed to the Banu Qasim. So somebody do me a favor. Pull up the Prophet Noble Ali's article, Thanksgiving for Whom? As long as somebody pull up that article, Thanksgiving for Whom by the Prophet Noble Ali. Because he talks about these Kharajite rebels and these Kharajite Moors. And you got to do the history on the Kharijites, because the Kharijites was really it was a Kharijite that assassinated Ali, son-in-law and cousin of Prophet Muhammad. Right, so there's these Kharijites. Here they go again. The Kharijites, they seem to always be in the mix, and they had a problem with Ali because Ali conceded with Muawiyah. Right, he, instead of going to war with Muawiyah and going to battle, and it's funny because his own troops was like they didn't want to do it, and then when he backed out, they turned on him, and then he was like, "Yo, y'all the ones that told me to not go, to not do it." But it was the Khazarites that was behind it. So somebody pull up that article for me. So Yahya bin Muhammad was succeeded by Ali ibn Umar, his widow's father. I mean, his wife's father. And um so it says, upon the death of Idris II, his father Umar bin Idris had received rule over the Sinhaja and of the Gumara Berbers. Right, the Gumara or Gomara are spelled Ghomara. And it says, and was later rewarded with rule over Tangier for suppressing the revolts of his two brothers, Al Qasim and Isa. So,
Islam.
yeah. So, yeah. Read the article.
Read the whole article. All right.
Not the whole one. I'll let you know where to stop. So.
All right. I think you said the Sada
Mm-hmm.
Islam. So
So yeah, you can go like a little bit before that, like
for that.
like
All
what we
right,
talking
bet.
about.
All right, so I'm gonna start from right here. King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain fell upon their knees and gave thanks to Santiago for their victory over the Moors. On this same day, the Pope of Rome proclaimed it the day to be forever a day of thanksgiving for all European Christians. Why? Because the so-called blacks of Granada, called Moors, who were originally from Africa, Spain, and Arabia, surrendered the city of Granada, the last stronghold of the Moors in Spain, and the walls of the Moorish Empire came tumbling down. These Saadian Moors, Sada Black, were driven into Morocco and further down into West Africa, and were later betrayed, captured, and sold into America as slaves.
So you see, wait, he said he mentioned the Kharijite? Yeah.
No, he didn't.
Keep going,
So,
keep going.
Prophet Noble Ali down the stern, keep a deep olive. Okay, Prophet Noble Ali down the stern, deep olive Kharijite Moor from Baghdad. Turkey and slain Turkey Turkey and slaying or enslaving him was an act of highly regarded by the Christian European forces who despised these Moors.
Right. So you see where he said that it was the Sada or Sadian black Moors that was chased into North Africa and betrayed and sold into slavery in the Americas.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So remember that, because we're gonna get to who these Sada or these Sadian Moors was. They was the next Alubait dynasty in Morocco after the Idrids fell. The Idrisid dynasty, once it fell, remember the Idrisid dynasty is part of the Alubait. So these Sadia black Moors, these Sadian Moors, the ones that got chased back into North Africa, like the prophet's telling us, and was sold into America as slavery, these was the Moors, these is the Moors that we more directly connected to. Right? It was one of them in particular, Muhammad al-Kain, that we connect, that we got to do the one on him, and that whole line from there and stuff like that. But this is the Sadian blacks, the Sada Moors, the Saadi dynasty, Saadi dynasty in the Sultan of Morocco. They passed it on to the current dynasty. So the current dynasty in Morocco right now, the Alawites, the Alawite dynasty right now that rules Morocco, they got it from the Sadian dynasty, the ones that got chased into. Y'all putting this together?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it was one of the, I think it was one of the kings of the Alawite dynasty, or the sultans of the Alawite dynasty, who said the Mahdi is going to be two Mahdis. One is going to be from there, and one is going to be from the Americas.
Mm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
Is this
see,
deep? This is deep, Moors.
that was a mean connection because that kind of, I mean, we already knew the Moors are slave traders and all that was bull crap. So that kind of like on a surface level, but on a deeper level, that's the connection right there. Boom. You did nobody can never have anything to say with that just because again, it's right here in our own literature and our Moorish guide from Prophet Noble Ali confirming where that descendancy came from. And you notice where it says the Sada Black were driven into Morocco and further down into West Africa and were later betrayed, captured, and sold into America as slaves.
Yep. He gave us the play-by-play.
Yep.
That was the play-by-play. You know what I'm
So
saying?
that reference, now we pinpoint exactly what happened in between, which we already know, which it already he gave us the play. Like he
Right,
gave us the
right,
whole play by.
right. See,
Dang.
yeah, yeah.
This in
Crazy.
line with Prince Abdul Rahman. You know, just same
Right,
and that we talked about.
right. Yes, sir. Yes, yes,
I ain't
exactly.
never, as much as I seen in that picture, I never seen the cliff note at the bottom that said this is a Moorish prince. That man, that blows everything out the water.
Facts. See, this why, and this is why we gotta teach this. This is why I'm teaching it to y'all, because like, you know, when y'all get your things together and you get your little communities going, and you know what I'm saying, doing what you gotta do. This is the reference points that you gotta give your people, gotta give the people. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it gotta make sense to them. You know, like we gotta make it make sense to them now. Be able to connect these dots. A lot of Moors can't really put these pieces together. You know, so a lot of what we talk sounds fanciful to, you know, people that don't know, and then people that do know, they're not gonna they're not gonna tell us no differently because it's to their advantage. Like especially in the wider Muslim community, you see how the bloodline is treated. We they knock us off, and they keep an eye on us. You better believe they got an eye on us over here. We under the heaviest type of stuff our forefathers was under. Right? And there's probably some of us that might be connected to the Prophet Noble Ali don't even know they connected to the Prophet Noble Ali or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
You know what I mean? They probably got them hidden somewhere.
And that's the thing. Like if you were, if it goes back what we talked about before, if you are so in the belief of being a slave, or that's your history, or that's where you're starting your history from, and that's such a traumatic part of your life, well then here's the connection. It still
Mm-hmm.
ties back into Moorish American. It still ties back
Mm-hmm.
into
To
you
the
having
Moors.
roots,
Right.
man.
The Moorish Empire. That's why, you know, that like I said, the Prophet, what he said, he was on it. He did not lie. Like he put us right back in the position. And nobody can really refute because he made the connections. Like when you read through the literature, you read through the doctrine, and you really compare it to real history, it's like, damn, he was teaching this to them people back then. He was teaching us what we were supposed to have been taught coming out of slavery. When we were so called emancipated, this is what we were supposed to have gotten. Y'all, the descendants of the Canaanites, the Moabites, the Moors, we were supposed to be given all of this. That's why he came and did what he did for us.
Mm. Yeah, because
This
it's
is
the
what
only
was
people
taken.
that dealt with no history and they had nothing. Everybody else maintained their history. I mean, shoot. Most notably, I say, for instance, is the Indian, those brothers and sisters over there in the Far East. Like they maintained their history, but they knew they was enslaved by the British colonials.
Right, 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 right.
They knew who they
Exactly.
were. They were still sheiks.
Right, 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 right.
We was just
Yeah,
Negroes.
Right.
Dang,
They
prophet.
did a wild number on us, man. Like what they did to us is crazy. Like how they pulled that off. Like really got us to forget who we were and got us still thinking we like it's wild. It's crazy when I think about it. Like it's like wow, like that's super evil genius, you know? Like so let me get through the rest of these ancestors and then we'll save the other joint Friday. So again, the Caragites, so this is Yahya, right? No. Oh, okay, this is Ali ibn Umar. So yeah, Ali ibn Umar, aka Dawood, was the last and he was the seventh Idrisid ruler in Morocco. So says during an unknown date from Ali's rule, a Sufri Khajarite leader launched a revolt in the mountains south of the capital. The rebellion, and Ali was forced to abandon Fez and flee to the Berbers. Abd al-Razak was unable to take all of Fez, however, as the Karawian quarter of the left bank of the Fez River resisted him and called upon Yahya ibn al-Qasim, Ali's paternal cousin, for aid. Yahya managed to drive the rebels away, although his control over Fez is intermittent, and was challenged by a different branch of the Idrisid family, the descendants of his uncle, Isa ibn Idris. In addition, in 877, another uncle, Dawood, is attested as the ruler of Fez based on an inscription at the Al-Karawiyan Mosque. So, so again, you see like the dynasties would like even with so in Morocco that dynasty kind of turned into that whole thing kind of turned into what Muhammad established in Arabia. You know what I'm saying? Eventually the uncle took over, like, you know, just like the Abbasids, you know. Um so again, this is like it's always kind of been like this type of thing between us. You know what I'm saying? So that ended the Idrisid dynasty of the Ahlul Bayt in Morocco. But again, this is the line from Hassan and Idris that we follow back to Ali and Fatima, right? And the rest of the, you know, the family kind of, you know, as we would say, kind of on that side, right? So, yeah, we'll wait for next. So like next on Friday, we'll dig into the actual document from Prophet Noble Ali. Well, not really. We don't really got to dig into the document or the article, but we deal with this the Saudi dynasty, right? Those Sadian, you know, them Sadian Moors, right? Because that's another name for the Saudi Sultanate is Saudi or Sadid, Sadian, Sadian is sometimes spelled with two A's, one A, but it's the Saudi um, Sultanate or the Saudi dynasty, and it's funny because you got to understand too. So, well, during this time, during the Sadian dynasty, now we dealing with our conflict with the Ottomans. Because our initial conflict during the Abbasid rule, I mean, excuse me, during the Idrisid rule, right, under Idris, who was the founder of the first dynasty of the Ahlul Bayt in Morocco, the first one to bring Islam to Morocco, right? Arabic probably was already over there as a language, but um, they was battling against the Rashidun Caliphate, right? Because I gotta see then I gotta get back to my studies on the Sunni side.
Islam, Sister Grand Sheik. How do you spell that word? You said Sadian or Sidian?
Sadian, Saadi, Saadi. Where it says
Okay.
Sadian, Saadian.
Okay.
No, it's just spelled Saadi, Saadi.
Got it. Islam.
It's long.
You know what it got me thinking about those sheep. Um,
Hmm.
all of those conventions that the prophet was putting together. He probably was talking about all this in much more detail.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I would honestly, and we ain't got to give play by, but definitely we got to link up after this or off the recording, man, because I got an idea too, because this is fire, man.
Mm-hmm.
Islam.
Islamism. So yeah, so all right, yeah. So you had right. So when it comes to the Sunni, or really like just well, yeah, really the Sunni side of the demonstration, um, they kind of follow. So they follow it from Muhammad, right? They follow it from Muhammad to um from Abu Bakr to you can say Uthman and Ali, which is the third and the fourth caliphs. That's the Rashidun Caliphate. That's what they call the Rashidun Caliphate. And again, that consists of Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, which is Uthaman, Uthman, and Ali. Then it's the after that it's the what they call the Umayyad Caliphate. The Umayyad Caliphate, or the Caliphate that was ruled by the Umayyad dynasty. And remember the Umayyads, they was a clan, an Arab clan of the Quraysh tribe, which was the tribe that Muhammad was part of in Arabia. And they was descended from a man by the name of Umayyah ibn Ab Shams. Right? The Banu Umayyad. So that clan ended up taking over the caliphate for a substantial amount of time. They was the first ones because what they was trying to avoid in you got to remember the Ansar as well, which was the Jews, the Arab Jews at the time that helped Muhammad. These are the aiders of Allah. They was trying to vie for positions too, but they couldn't really. They didn't have as much sway as the clans because the clans was part of Muhammad's family, extended family, but they was not the first ones to accept the Deen. So you'll see some of the first companions of Muhammad outside of Khadijah, um, Fatima, Hassan and Hussein was the Ansar, was these Jews, and they had a very special place in Muhammad with Muhammad. Like he he trusted them or looked at them on the same as family on the same level as he looked at those in Mecca. I can't say he looked at them more highly because Muhammad wasn't like a favorable type individual. Like once you came over, and you accepted Islam, anything that he had that happened before, he forgot it. He never talked about it. Like with Khalid and the Walid, who killed a lot of Muslims because Khalid was part of one of the clans that opposed Muhammad for a while, but he didn't have a personal beef with Muhammad though. His father did, His father's actually written about in the Quran. That's one of the reasons why they say Khalid never read the Quran like that, because his father's talked about badly in the Quran. His father's like the example of what not to be. So you can imagine in his time, imagine him studying, the Quran, or having to study the Quran, which was part of your deen, and having to read them things about your own father. And that's one of the reasons why he went so hard for Islam and for the Prophet Muhammad and Allah. He never lost a battle. He is literally considered the best general in history over King Tut, Alexander the Great, all of them. Comparable, maybe even with Hannibal. Like, might even be better than Hannibal. But again, that was one of his ancestors. He probably heard the tales of Hannibal when he was traveling. You know what I'm saying? But when he converted, he walked into Medina and converted in front of and accepted the Prophet Muhammad as the Rasulullah. They say Muhammad never looked at him any differently, even though he killed a lot of Muslims. You know what I'm saying? And even when they passed the banner to him in one of the battles where the Muslims, where they lost their top three generals, Abu Ubaidah, um, what's the other one's name? Something, I forget his first name, but his name is Ibn al-As. And then there was another one of the companions of Muhammad. They all fell in the same battle. They said one of the Ansar picked up the banner and gave it to Khalid. And Khalid was like, nah, like, I can't do this. Like, like, I've killed, like, I don't deserve it. You know what I mean? But they took a vote, and all of the Ansar, everybody that was fighting, we want Khalid to take the lead. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was unanimous. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's like that type of stuff, man. Like, we gotta, we gotta, like, we don't have to teach our children anybody else's history. Like, we got enough stories and tales from the Bible to the Quran to, like, ancient history. Like, it's all ours. Imagine how our children would walk around this world if they just knew these things about who they were and could actually source it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and this is not just something that we were told. Like, we have we know where to find this in books. And we can connect all these dots from our leader, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. You know what I mean? Like, this, man. But like I said, with with the Idrisid dynasty, it was a battle, or like it was a beef with the Caliphate, or the Rashidun. And it's always been a beef with mostly all of them over there, especially with the Ahlul Bayt. But with the Sadian dynasty, the beef was with the Ottomans, because the Ottomans come into picture now. So, and this happened because it went from a family feud to the people we was enslaving, right? And that we was hiring as mercenaries and um, guards of our palaces and stuff like that. These slaves, these Central Asians and Indo-Europeans, rose up. The Ottoman Turks come from that. They come out of that whole situation in the east, in the east on that side. In the west, so to speak, in Egypt, there was another group called the Seljuk dynasty. These were Mamluk slave soldiers that ended up controlling and kind of unifying with the Ottomans. They had, then they would employ janissaries too. But we was So when you study that part of the history, you're gonna read about or come across, when we was battling them, it was a lot of the European, we were battling Europeans, but they looked like they was Muslims though. And we was battling certain Christians too. And we was also, because once you start to get into um the later period of the Sadian dynasty, this is where we started having relations or dealing with Britain and Queen Elizabeth. We were trading with like guns. We needed like weapons. So they supplied us with weapons, and we would allow them safe travel. But it was geopolitics going on at the time. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got. That's all I got for tonight. I had something else too, but I didn't think that was gonna take me that long. But I'll do that on Friday. We'll dig into the Moorish Holy Quran first, and then I'll dig into the rest of the genealogy. We'll kind of keep it going, but I want to dig into the Moorish Holy Quran too. We gotta make sure we're dealing with the doctrine as well. So I don't want to skip out on that doing the whole historical thing. And then we got to figure out two more. So we need a date that we can, a day out the week that we can meet and really get back to handling the affairs of the temple. We ain't gotta really we don't gotta put a lot of pressure on ourselves, but we need to like move certain things in a certain direction and stay on top of it. Um, just so we ready. Again, it's election year. You know, this is gonna be a crazy election too. Like with everything that's going on in the world, we on the brink of World War III. Like, oh, some of y'all wasn't even on the call. I think it was the last call, right? We put the one together on the Houthi. How these Houthi are connected to the Moabites. But again, like it's a big year coming up, man. And I don't know, for some reason, like it's like heavy on my mind. For some reason, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, just thinking about that. Again, like I said, with everything going on in the world, you know, we need things, we need things in order. I don't know if anybody wanna, anybody got anything else they wanna add?
Islam, nah, Sheik. I mean, definitely great demonstration, man. The past 3 days, just a lot of great information and references to use. Um, honestly, man, prior to the Bible degrees you've been putting out, I never really understood how to like the Bible function. But now that I kind of like, you done gave kind of like a clear path on how to, navigate it, and kind of understand the degrees that comes from it, and then also the Quran as well. So, man, it is definitely a heavy one. And but it's a lot of great insightful, information to tie you right back to your descendancy. So I think that that these Friday all the way through Sunday, Sheik, man, appreciate you definitely spending the time, man, and doing the research and definitely bringing it back, Sheik. Islam to you, brother.
Well, thank you more for sure. And like I said, I dropped the recording in there too.
You already knew my voice was about to come on that, didn't you, Great deal. Great deal. And I can't wait to hear Friday's call. I'm mad at myself for, being tired.
Nah, I got you. Like I said, I'm gonna post all the playbacks tonight, and y'all could you can listen to that one, and then on Friday, we're gonna pick back up. So whenever it's
Islam.
ready.
Islam, National Chairman, Brother QL, could you post that the code to where we can go, type in to listen to the playback? I misplaced mine somewhere.
Yeah,
Islam.
you in the group, right, brother
Code.
Cam?
Islam, yeah. I'm in the group.
Okay,
Oh, you
yeah.
can send
All right,
you can
yeah.
send it there. Yeah,
All right, yeah, we got you.
Islam.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your skis. Dang, what I was gonna say. No, I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, when I make sure listen to the playback too. Make sure you take your notes and do your own studies on the names and some of the stuff that I'm talking about because you want to get yourself familiar with it too, to where you can articulate it as well. You know what I'm saying? Because again, it's not it's not as difficult as we think because even though like with Dr. Dana Reynolds, she's dealing with a more broader perspective of the whole family, right? From the Bible and the Quran and some of these ancient texts. We can narrow it down a little more specifically to these Berber people, these Canaanites, these Moabites, these Israelites, and these people that was in Arabia during the time of Muhammad. And you'll start to find where you can get the references for where these people during these times, medieval Arabic texts in history, where they're described as black, like literally, like the companions of Muhammad, like um, dang, what was his name? He traveled to Egypt on a convoy, and the Egyptian leader at that time, he said something along the lines like, get this black man away from me. Like, and he said back to him, he said he scares me. He's like, yo, he's so big and black, like he scares me. Like, get him away from me. And he told him, he said, if you think I'm big and black, then wait till he said, I'm gonna bring back 1,000 more, blacker and more terrifying than me. Yeah, I'm trying to find the reference real quick. Because, like all of this history is there, man. It's just we don't know it. Like we the only ones that don't know that these Arabs, these original Arabs, and these Arabs during the time of Muhammad were black, dark skin. Again, up until about 600 years ago, like that's when the real mixing, it was mixing going on before then, but that's when the real mixing started happening.
Islam. Uh,
Hmm.
so in a sense, it was pretty much a whole lot of ethnic cleansing going on back then as well. They was killing off the original people.
Well, I mean, to be honest, they really wasn't. The Romans not even necessarily. The Romans they didn't really start going crazy, crazy, crazy until like the Crusades. Like the Crusaders, they was slaughtering us. The Crusaders, like they the ones like that was going crazy. Like they would get rid of 20,000 Jews in one day type thing. The Arabs was, they would go to war with each other, because you got to understand, when I say, like, when we talk about Arabs, that these are the same people that was encountering the people when they was going to these, because the first people that the Arabs ended up fighting when they came out of Arabia and they attacked the Persians and the Romans, the first people that they fought was Arab Christians. The Roman Empire, damn near half of the Roman Empire was made up of Arab Christians. Arab Berber Christians. The Persian Empire was made up of Arab Christians. The Benu line. How do you say it? I can't, like, I don't, my Arabic, like, the way you roll it. The Benu Lane, Lahim, the Benu Lahim, Lahm. They was the Christians that protected the frontier of the Persian Empire. Then you had the Benu Ghassan, or the Gassanids. They was the Arab Christians that protected the frontier of the Roman Empire. So we was fighting family most of the time. So when we say, like, ethnic cleansing, it was like we was kind of cleansing ourselves, but we would war until the other side was defeated. We did a lot of sieging. When you lay siege to something, it means you just surround it. You might bomb it a little bit and stuff like that, but you don't attack. So a lot of our wars was, like, the battles and skirmishes was won through sieging. And when we would take a town or a city, we would take the spoils. So in the Quran it's divided. It's a way that you do that. But we wouldn't kill, like, we might kill some of them though. Like, most of the time it was like the nobles and the politicians. But the people could, the Christians could stay, the Jews could stay. You could keep your property. Like, we didn't ransack the whole thing. And if we took property and stuff, like, or we took slaves, it was from the noble class, or like the the politicians and stuff like that. Like, it wasn't like we didn't do like the Romans now. Because if you really want to compare history and who was really wilding, like, the Roman Christians was out of control. Like, they burnt mosques, synagogues, churches. Because if you wasn't the right type of Christian, you was getting your head chopped off. You was a Nestorian, get your head chopped off. Like, if you wasn't Roman Catholic, they wasn't going for that. So they would kill other Christians too. You know, but I wouldn't necessarily say it was like an ethnic cleansing on our part, because what we was doing was, at a point in time, we would take a lot of the Roman women, and we was doing this from Berber times. We would take a lot of the Roman women as concubines, or European women as concubines, Central Asian women as concubines, and we would marry and have children with them. And over time, from us doing that, this is this is why, the Middle East in particular, and North Africa in particular, because slaving was going on way heavier over there than over here. Over here you have, like, what we call the Hispanic community, or the Latino community. Latinos and Hispanics are nothing but modern day Arabs. They're the offspring of concubines from slave trading. Because you got to think about it. If we take over a place, right, and we all have children with European women, right, all of our children are going to be light skinned. Now, if all of those children have children with each other in a generation, they're all going to look a certain way. If that next generation has children with each other, they're all going to consolidate that gene pool even stronger. This is what Hispanic and Latino people are. They never necessarily, some of their communities of them, they don't breed or have children outside of their complexion. So this is why they've maintained that tone or that skin complexion. They just speak Spanish. If they spoke Arabic, they be Arabs. You put a hijab in in on a Spanish chick, female, and teach her Arabic, ain't nobody gonna mistake her for not being Arab. I don't care if she's from Puerto Rico, Bolivia, Mexico. They all look like certain ones of each other because even the Mexican or Guatemalan type, they're like the blend between the Afro-Asiatic and the Mongolian Arab,
Islam,
like Islam.
Islam, and that's the reason why a lot of them are able to, like the so-called terrorists or whatever, are able to come
Mm,
into the country and do some of the things. Because they was talking about that on the news, how they uh, they perpetrate. They speak
mm.
Spanish too. They speak Spanish too, and their language,
Right, right,
and
right. And
and English.
that's funny because with the Mossad, right? The Mossad is the Central Intelligence Unit for Israel. A lot of them passed as Arabs because they speak Israeli and they speak Arabic. So they go into these Arab countries and pose as Arabs because they look the same. So when you say they come over here and they pose as Latinos or Hispanics, it makes sense because if they speak Spanish, nobody's gonna mistake an Arab person that speaks Spanish over here for not being a Spanish person.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you say that, that makes a lot of sense more. This is how they're able to infiltrate certain places, man.
Mm-hmm. I have one more question, Assistant National Grant. So
Mm.
how does that tie into with with the family over here, like the Washu or Washita people,
Hmm.
Yamasee tribe, and you know all those families and more. How does that ties in over here?
Yeah, so I mean, the you have the what's his name? Abu Bakr II. So we went over some of that in the last class where he voyaged over here with about 2,400 ships. And we guessed that, or we surmised from the evidence that they came into the Yucatan Peninsula from the terracotta and stuff like that. And then again, we also have the Olmec. Um, we got the Mississippi and the mound builders, and just the whole civilizations kind of look the same. It's a good YouTube video by a man by the name of Umar. Um, what's his name? But he breaks this down very wonderfully. Let me see if I can get it real quick. His name is Umar. Uh, what's his name?
Islam, I know you're not going to say Umar Johnson.
Nah, Umar F. Abdullah. His name is Umar F. Abdullah. He's actually European Muslim. But he breaks down the connection between West Africa and the Americas. And I think he references Van Sertima and some other people and stuff like that. But there's that connection, and then there's just the some of the early inscriptions of these people. Just the language. Algonquin is connected to Phoenician, and then they brought Arabic and Hebrew speakers over and was able to you know kind of converse with some of the natives. There's also a bunch of other evidence too outside of that, but um, the Islamic side, you know, then also again we got the supposed slave trade. So like even with the sundry free Moors, right? They was in South Carolina. You know, you had the brother that was in the Mississippi, Abu Rahman. Um, you know, we got the Delaware Moors. You have what the Melungeons, right? Then there's also um Roanoke. I think it's Roanoke Island, but Sir Francis Drake, right? Sir Francis Drake supposedly freed Turks, some Turks and Moors in the Caribbean and brought them to Roanoke Island and settled and colonized Roanoke Island, and that was kind of like a pirate island in the Americas off the coast of like North Carolina, something like that, somewhere over there. But you know, so these Moorish peoples or these Arab West African, you know, Muslim people was in the Americas. Like they was traveling with the conquistadors over here. We've been traveling over here since before that time. You know, like again with the kings of Mali, right? And this is 14th century. You know, the the Olmec, which is like 700 years before Christ, or 2,500 years before Christ, something like that. In between that time, 700. Then there's like, you know, even biblically, right? We talk about the Phoenicians, right? They say Phoenicians was here. You know, these are Canaanite people. You know, there's the stories in the Bible of Solomon and Hiram, king of Tyre. You know, their fleets and their ships going in the sea for 3 years. It took them 3 years to get back, and they say during that time, like if you was traveling with the, you know, because they're, you know, traveling by sea back then, they didn't have ship, you know, steam engine, and or at least we don't can't prove that they had steam engine and coal and oil. They didn't travel like we can travel now. You know, we had to use the winds and the currents, so it took them a lot longer. But even in the Bible, they talk about these type of things, like and I forget it's another one that it mentions that I don't know if it was Solomon's fleet or Hiram's fleet that the they knew what do they call them? The term that they use was like masters of the ocean or masters of the sea or something like that. But Hiram again was king of Tyre. Tyre was or Tyre. Some people say Tyre or Tyre. Some people say Tyre. Was sister of Sidon and the Sidonians, and they say the Sidonians actually settled um, Tyre or Tyre. So these were Sidonians, or Sidon was the first son of Canaan. So these Tyrians were Canaanites. So Hiram was a Canaanite, right? So again, I'm trying to find a daggone verse where it talks about the ships. Um, uh, it said, for the king's ships went to Tarshish with the servants of Huram or Hiram. Every 3 years, once came the ships of Tarshish, bringing gold, ivory, apes, and peacocks. I gotta brush up, man. I forgot what it's. Because it makes sense again, like, when you read through the stories, First Kings and Second Chronicles. When you read through the stories, they make sense. They're saying they talking about the Canaanites, or they talking about these people, and they mention them with connected to seafaring, sea travel. So it's not hard to put two and two together. Is this thing? The Navy also of Hiram that brought gold from Ophir, brought in from Ophir great plenty and almond trees, precious stones, and the king made the almond trees pillars for the house of the Lord. Solomon gave unto the queen of Sheba vice merchants, and all the kings of Arabia, and of the governors of the country. They talk about Arabia a lot in the Bible too. But anyway, that's that. They say, but King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites. Of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love, and he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. It says, for it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Asheroth, or Ash, Ash, Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, or the Canaanites, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. The Ammonites were the brothers of Moab. It says, and Solomon did evil in the sight of Allah, and went not fully after Allah, as did David his father. And did Solomon build in high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon, who again is brother of Moab. So the Ammonites worshipped Molech and Milcom. These are probably the named tribes in Arabia too. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods. And the Lord was angry with Solomon because his heart was turned away from Allah, which had appeared unto him twice. So, but it said, it said, and Allah was angry with Solomon because his heart was turned away from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice. So he was, you know what I'm saying, he was following them strange gods like the prophet talked about, and commanded him concerning this thing that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which Allah commanded. Wherefore Allah said unto Solomon, for so much as this is done to thee, and thou hast not kept my commandment and my statutes, which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant. Notwithstanding, in thy days I will not do it for David thy father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. Howbeit I will not rend away all the kingdom, but will give one tribe to thy son for David my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake which I have chosen. And the Lord stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom. For it came to pass when David was in Edom, and Joab, the captain of the host, was gone up to bury the slain, after he had smitten every male in Edom. For 6 months did Joab remain there with all Israel, until he had cut off every male in Edom. And Hadad fled, he and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him. So he fled with some concubines of his father to go into Egypt. Hadad, being a little child, and Hadad being a little child, and they rose out of Midian and came to Paran, and they took men with them out of Paran, and they came to Egypt unto Pharaoh king of Egypt, which gave him a house and appointed him victuals and gave him land. And Hadad found great favor in the sight of Pharaoh, so that he gave him to wife the sister of his own wife, the sister of Tapanese the queen, and the sister of Tapanese bare him Janubith, his son, whom Tapanese weaned in Pharaoh's house, and Junabath was in Pharaoh's household among the sons of Pharaoh. And when Hadad heard in Egypt that David slept with his fathers, and that Joab, the captain of the host, was dead, Hadad said to Pharaoh, let me depart, and that I may go to my own country. Then Pharaoh said unto him, well, what hast thou lacked with me, that behold thou seekest to go to thine own country? So why is this doing it? Okay. Islam, Islam, Moorish, y'all can hear me? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. Um, anyway, so real quick, this is another connection too. So the Moabites, remember the last class I was telling y'all that the Moabites, the name of the Moabites was changed in certain parts of the Bibles from Moab or Moabites to Arabs or Nabateans. Right now, these Arabs, and like I said, the children of so when the prophets say that Jesus was descendant of um the true blood of the ancient Canaanites, Moabites, and the inhabitants of Africa, he's talking about these Midianite people. And these Midianites are tied into the tribe of Judah, which is the tribe that Jesus is connected to, through a group called the Kenites. Right? The Kenites, these are like the goldsmith, like they're like people that work with the earth, like, you know what I mean? They dredge canals, they dig the earth, like, you know what I'm saying? They work with fire and metal and stuff. But in the Bible, Moab again is tied into these people. So this is where Moab is tied in, right? This is one of the spots, not just um with Ruth, right? This is the other spot. It's in Numbers chapter 22. Right? Numbers chapter 22 is dealing with Balak, Balaam, and Zippor. Now, Zippor, you're not gonna find Zippor. I don't think Zippor is mentioned anywhere else in the Bible, but right here. But when you study in the Bible, you gotta. This is why you gotta brush up on the genealogies, especially like Josephus with Abraham and Keturah, because this is like the neglected part. That's like the neglected part of it. They in the Bible too, but like you'll find these lineages, and when you find these lineages, you're gonna find certain other names. But some of these names are repeated in the Bible after certain generations, just like in Arabic tradition, you'll find Yahya ibn Yahya. You know, there was one of them that was named like three times. Like he was so and so ibn so and so ibn so and so, same name. Like John, son of John, son of John. You know what I'm saying? But when you read Numbers chapter 22, right, it says, and the children of Israel set forward and pitched in the plains of Moab on the side of Jordan by Jericho, right? And it says, and Balak, the son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. So remember that name Zippor, Balak, son of Zippor. It says, and Moab was sore afraid of the people. So Balak, again, Balak is a king of Moab who's the son of Zippor, right? So it says, and Moab was so afraid of the people because they were many, and Moab was distressed because the children of Israel. And Moab said unto the elders of Midian. So the elders of the Moabites and their leader Balak, who's the son of Zippor, went to the elders of Midian because they seen the Israelites raining coming down on them, like, oh, and they seen how many it was, and it was like they were scared. So they went to the elders of Midian. They say, now shall this company lick up all that's about us, the ox, as the ox lick up the grass of the field. And Balak, the son of Zippor, was king of the Moabites at that time. He sent messengers before them unto Balaam, the son of Beor, to Pethor, which is by the river of the land of the children of his people, to call him, saying, behold, there is a people come out of Egypt. Behold, they cover the face of the earth, and they abide over against me. So he go to this other person that lives in this place that's by a river. And he's saying, look, these people that came out of Egypt, you know, they come in and, you know, they trying to attack me. And he said, come now, therefore, I pray thee, curse me these people, for they are too mighty for me. Peradventure I shall prevail. Right. So put a curse on them so that I can meet them, that we may smite them, and that I may drive them out of the land of Moab. For I wot that he whom thou blessed is blessed, and he whom thou cursest is cursed. Right? Because he's saying, like, so because I heard that whoever you bless is blessed, and whoever you curse is cursed. Right? So he said, and the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian departed with the rewards of divination in their hand, and they came unto Balaam and spake unto him the words of Balak. So um so again, he sent messages to Balaam and told him what he said. And then, you know, the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian, It says they departed with the rewards of divination in their hands. So the rewards of divination. So that's like they put together a contract. They call it they saying divination, but then they said they came but they came together on agreement on something. They defined a plan to do this, which entails them putting a curse on this dude or the Israelites so that they could lose the battle. But they went to the elders of Midian to do this, right? Balak, the king of Moab, son of Zippor. And it says, and it's a reason why he went to the elders of Midian. I'm gonna make this connection right now, because again, this is another Moabite connection. And it says that, and he said unto them, lodge here this night, and I will bring you word again, as the Lord shall speak unto me. And the princes of Moab abode with Balaam. And God came unto Balaam and said, what men are these with thee? And Balaam said unto God, Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab, hath sent unto me, saying, behold, there is a people come out of Egypt, which covereth the face of the earth. Now come now, curse me them, peradventure I shall be able to overcome them and drive them out. And God said to Balaam, thou shalt not go with them. Thou shalt not curse the people, for they are blessed. And Balaam rose up in the morning and said unto the princes of Balak, get you into your land, for the Lord refuseth to give me leave to go with you. And the princes of Moab rose up and they went unto Balak and said, Balaam refuses to come with us. And Balak sent yet again princes more and more honorable than they. And they went to Balaam and said to him, thus saith Balak the son of Zippor, let nothing, I pray thee, hinder thee from coming unto me. So he trying to get Balaam to come to him and, curse the Israelites. But the key here is that Balak is the son of Zippor, right? And remember that Zippor, you got to understand that Zippor is actually short for Zipporah. Right? And anybody know who Zipporah was? Anybody know who was Zipporah? I can't find.
I don't know, Sister National Grand.
All right. I can't find it. So, okay, I gotta go. I'm in the wrong book. All right, so Zipporah is let's see that. Yeah, I gotta brush up on this. I'm supposed to know where this at. Okay. So Zipporah is actually the wife of Moses and daughter of Jethro. Right? Jethro is the priest from Midian that Moses ran into at the well when he saved his daughters. And Midian, so it said the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled their troughs to water their father's flock. And the shepherds came and drove them away, and Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock. And when they came to Ruel, their father, he said this. So this another thing you got, like, so they Jethro's name, he got like 4 names in the Bible, but all these names tie back to older biblical clans or tribes or people. So here they're saying that they're calling him a priest of Midian, right? Then they say his name is Ruel, right? In another section, his name is, it says, and Moses said unto Hobab, the son of Raguel, the Midianite, Moses' father-in-law. So either Moses had another father-in-law, which he didn't have no other children. It don't seem like he had any other children outside of Zipporah, but I could be mistaken. But they call him by different names. But this is Jethro. And again, the city Yathrib in the Hejaz or the land of Canaan in Arabia, Mecca, or whatever, is named after Jethro, the Midianite. And he's also referred to as a Kenite. I can't find where that one is, but Moses' father-in-law is actually referred to as a Kenite as well. So Balak, son of Zippor, means that he's from that lineage. So his father probably was a Moabite, his mother probably was from Zipporah line, which made him a Midianite, which explains why he went to the elders of Midian. So again, this is another way that you could connect the Moabites to these Midianite people, to the Midianites and Zipporah. Like, so we have another connection to the line of Moses, Moors, the priestly line, like, and again, that name, you gotta understand the lineages. Like I said, Zipporah is short for Zipporah, right? And again, she was a Midianite or Kenite, and the Kenites was the ones, when you study them, they was the ones that was traveling with the tribe of Judah. I believe it was King Solomon, or I think it was King Solomon, that told the Kenites to get out from under the Midianites or the Moabites or something like that, when at one point in time when he was about to attack them, because this was the part of his family that was connected to them. He was letting them know, like, yo, y'all get up out of Dodge, because I'm up to, it's about to go down. But these Kenite people the name Kenite is connected to Cain. The root word of Kenite is connected to Cain, and Cain means smith, like goldsmith, right? Because again, these were the Canaanites, Kenites, the children of Ham were known as the coastal people that were fishermen, sailors. They dredged canals. They worked with metals. They dug the earth. And then the tribe of Shem, or the line of Shem, which is where you find the Israelites and the Ishmaelites. These were like the pastoral people, the shepherds. So, and they considered themselves noble. So this is why you see, like, with Cain, or the curse of Cain, or they say Cain was cursed to serve his brothers, is because the Canaanites or the Kenite people, or these people that was connected to Ham, were considered, like, by the shepherds and stuff, or the shepherd class of the Shemites, as the vassal clan. of people. They were the vassals. This goes back to their whole lore on Cain and Canaan and, Ham. And then, they look at themselves as the noble class, right? Like this is the line that most of the prophets come from, and they're considered shepherds. So this is the real connection. Like it ain't no black and white people and all this. They always dark skinned people. Like even Japhet and them. Like eventually some of them tribes may have mixed with European tribes and but most of the European tribes in the Bible is like the Rosh, and it's not even them. Like that, to be honest, it's not them. Like, I don't know where they come from, but the more you study Sister Dana Reynolds, you'll see like this is the type of stuff that she's proving and talking about. Like these people these names originated with as connected to people that was from Arabia, not from the Levant. These names ended up being applied to these areas like in the Levant and in Syria and Palestine and up further over time. And eventually maybe Europeans that were either imported in as slaves or came in as immigrants adopted these tribal areas and names, and then these names have become associated with them. But at this point now, a lot of it is just people using it to further their political agendas. So and so is representative of Israel and Russia and this person and that person. And really these stories, it's not the Levant in Arabia at the time when these people was putting these stories and these books together and stuff, and these revelations are coming in. They was dealing with that area, not the whole world. So you got powers that be right now that's using this apocalyptic, narrative to push their political agendas to do what they want to do, and we got to be cognizant of all that because you got different levels of wokeness, right? You got people that do study the Bible and think they woke, but they follow a narrative and perspective that Israel and the Bible and all that happened historically in the Levant. It had nothing to do with these Arabian people. When, like our Prophet Noble Ali told us, that the Garden of Eden in the land of Canaan is in the holy city of Mecca, and that we are the founders of the holy city of Mecca. So we gotta a lot of like educating to do with people and for ourselves, because you can get caught up in the narratives, whether it's sensationalized media or other Bible stuff, religious kind of narratives about it. You got to be careful with them. You definitely got to be careful with the media because we already know what's up with that. And you got to be careful with the biblical narratives coming from certain people about the Armageddon and the apocalypse and all this stuff, and Revelations and Ezekiel and Og and Magog and Edom and Edomites and Idumeans, and these are Romans, these are white people. Like you got to be careful with all that because shout out to our Hebrew Israelite brothers, but their demonstration is a little off. They have some truth in there. Like the prophet said, they have, most of us have only just a glimmer of the truth, a reflection of the truth. You know what I'm saying? Not the real thing. And that's what he was talking about in religious controversy, right? He said, in this age, there is still much religious controversy as to the right thing. Big and powerful ministers have come to the conclusion that something is wrong. Some say it's the 10 Commandments. Others say there is a lack of sincerity in the purpose of the churches. Still, others think it is all worthless and not fit for the time it takes to attend them. However, whatever their final decision might be, it is certain they will make a change, or rather try to make one. The fact of the matter is that they have always had only a reflection of the truth and not the real thing. Like one who holds up to the sun a mirror and casts a few of its diverted rays in a different direction, so have they done with the truth that is supposed to have come from the east. There's but few people who know what the truth is about man, and that few know that it is foolish to try to impart it to the ignorant. Although the ignorant has finished college, he is a fool right on, being trained to jump through a hoop. The longer he stays in school, the better he can jump, and the more vivid he will defend his jumping. From the east comes all light, but the sun, but though the sun is hanging at high noon, the blind cannot see. The same is the Islamic creed from the east was brought to the Asiatics of North America by Prophet Noble Drew Ali and offered to those who were sick at heart, tried for many years, yet they are blind and cannot see the light. Nor is the prophet trying to put new wine in old skins, for he knows that it will burst them. Still, he has the only remedy for the nations, the remedy brought by Jesus, Muhammad, Confucius, and all other prophets, which remedy is truth. The nations do not want the truth, it is too stern. But until they accept it and find out where it is, there will continue to be religious controversy. And what he's saying is that truth is that we the people of the book.